been talked about as an act of God. The Vatican, struck by lightning on the same day Pope Benedict XVI shocked his cardinals by announcing his resignation.
Those people in Washington, D.C. they've got to be children of Satan. If there's a Satan in this world or in this universe, those people in Washington, D.C. have to be their children.
I was reading the other day, there's a guy on the radio who apparently Trump's on his show frequently. He said, me and Hillary are demons. Said we smell like sulfur. Ain't that something?
Because Satan, Lucifer, is the great deceiver, the great liar, and that's all they do in Washington, D.C. is lie. They lie to each other. They lie to their family. They lie to us. They lie to the world. Their promises mean nothing.
I'll tell the government right now, tell you right now if you're listening, NSA, CIA, I'm available, okay? If you show me all the real wreckage, I swear to God, I will make fun of that crap to the end of time. I'll make up stories. I'll lie to my mother. I don't care. You show me a UFO, I'll lie to my mother.
The Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy.
In my administration, we will ensure that this system is in place. And I will tell you, it will be on land, it will be on sea, it will be in air. We will have a proper tracking system.
Adding Trump-style branding, the administration launched Operation Warp Speed.
When you're inside, you look around, what do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters, the very minds of the people we are trying to save.
A first surprise for many visitors to Trump Tower, its legendary lobby is open to the public. Tourists taking snapshots of the same gilded escalator Donald Trump rode down to announce his candidacy. An even bigger attraction, the elevator, also gilded, which goes to the office of the next President of the United States. Since the election, this elevator has carried every one of Trump's visitors, a cavalcade of cabinet hopefuls, stars, and billionaires. All before the watchful eye of the TV cameras that have been camped out here for over a month.
I have to wait for the light to come, and then whatever light, I zoom into that elevator, so you always have to have your eye open over here.
It's politics, tourism, and shopping all mixed together. What happens upstairs is a bit more private. Up to the 26th floor, the tower is office space, including for Trump himself. Further up, 265 luxury apartments. Actor Bruce Willis and footballer Cristiano Ronaldo keep pied-à-terres there. Even Michael Jackson had a residence. At the very top, the inner sanctum, Donald Trump's 3-story penthouse.
Well, welcome to Trump Tower.
But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it.
You got Obama phone?
Yes, everybody in Cleveland, no minority got Obama phone. Keep Obama in president, you know? He gave us a phone. Whoa, get Obama phone.
I didn't start doing this till after January 6th. So after that, it's something I did on my own, and I didn't want to be afraid to wear it out in the public anymore. And I decided, you know what, this is going to be my thing. This is what I kind of come to rallies with, and this is what I'm going to be known for.
July 8, 1979, all the fathers of Nobel Prize winners were rounded up by United Nations military units, all right? And actually forced at gunpoint to give semen samples in little plastic jars, which are now stored below Rockefeller Center underneath the ice skating rink. Wouldn't want to be there for the thaw. Ugh. I mean, it's disgusting. You know what they put in the water, don't you? Fluoride. Yeah, fluoride. On the pretext that it strengthens your teeth. That's ridiculous. You know what this stuff does to you? It actually weakens your will. Takes away the capacity for free and creative thought and makes you a slave to the state. So you ever wonder about all these militia groups, survivalist type kooks from the right-wing side? They say that they're defending the country from the UN troops. These guys are yelling so loud. My theory is, and this is a conspiracy, pal, that they are the UN troops and that they're in place. The infrastructure's ready. It's just a fait accompli. When the time comes, they'll just take over and we'll all be toast. It's like this guy looks at me and he says to me, "You think you're living in a free country? You think this is a democracy? Of course it's not." Websites, newsletters, self-published manifestos, they think we're kooks. I mean, George Bush knew what he was saying when he said New World Order. Remember those three little words, New World Order? Well, he was a 33rd degree Mason, you know, and as ex-director of the CIA.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founder.
Dancing construction workers, angels with giant heads, and whatever these things are. It's a surreal ceremony for the opening of what's been billed as Switzerland's construction of the century. Leaders from Germany, Italy, Austria and France joined Swiss President Johann Schneider-Ammann at the spectacle in Palleggio, Switzerland, where a record-breaking 57-kilometre tunnel now cuts through the Swiss Alps. The mammoth engineering project links the stations of Estfield in the north of Switzerland to Bordeaux in the south. Work on what's now the world's longest and deepest tunnel started 17 years ago.
With a guest list that read like a meeting of the United Nations. When you celebrate science, perhaps it's best to not get carried away. The inauguration ceremony included some, how should we put it, original choreography.
It was quite bizarre.
Aida Lami, do you associate this kind of dancing with the inauguration of a tunnel?
I don't understand art enough. It leaves me speechless.
So the internet has been ablaze, in shock over what transpired in Switzerland with the opening of the longest and deepest tunnel in the world. Conspiracy research community and regular folk across the spectrum alike were in disbelief. What many are saying was the most open, satanic, occult ritual of all time. Even much worse than the 2012 Olympics. But it was truly shocking. It has definitely hit me to my core. When I first saw it, especially the end of the ceremony, my heart was heavy and it's just difficult to watch, but I was reassured that after what I just witnessed, there's going to be some disturbing and bizarre times ahead, more than we've ever seen. That much we should realize. These Freemasons, these so-called ruling elite, they now know they can perform outright blatant satanic rituals short of literally sacrificing a human being on screen and easily get away with it. They don't care. They no longer care. It's just another indication that shows you just how close we are. We're in the final phase of a plan spanning hundreds, if not thousands of years. And if what transpired in Switzerland doesn't wake you up to that, I don't know what will. This ritual was a ritual for the unleashing of the underworld. Gotthard Tunnel, underground. CERN, underground. As you'll see in this video, the connection between this tunnel, the ritual performed there, and CERN goes far, far beyond being in the same territory and both being underground.
But there is definite viewer discretion advised because there's a lot of very disturbing imagery in it. Now this happened in Switzerland, near the Swiss Alps. Air show and bizarre performance opens the longest tunnel in Swiss Alps. This spectacular air show marked the opening of the world's longest record-breaking rail tunnel in Earthfield, running for 57 kilometers through the Swiss Alps. The ceremony continued with a freakish show where some of the half-naked performers dressed as goats allegedly tried to express the hellish work through the mountain, or the fact that the gates to hell are now officially open. Let this sink in here for a moment. This is how the Secular World, a Russian newspaper, described this event where 4 heads of state were at. Even the Secular World states that it was a freak show and that it strongly hinted at and conveyed to them that the gates to hell were open. That's how blatant this show was. With the main performer being the dancing goat and other blasphemous references to Christ in this event too as well. They even parade around the lamb, and even, again, the Secular World was looking at this and saying, what in the world is this showing? This is so bizarre. This is a freak show. What are they showing here? They're doing this openly. Many blatant references to Cernunnos and Pan figures and satyrs in connection to parading the dead lamb around, mocking the Lamb of God, at the same time while the goat figure is dancing around, celebrating. All during this Cernunnos dance and the witchcraft and pagan occult illustrations they were involving here with blatant witchcraft dances as well. They're displaying sparking forges and evoking video imagery on the wall, referencing hell as well. Other pictures from being in the forge and the fires emerging at this time, and red flames, all this coming together while the gates and the doorways are opening, bathing everything in red. This event was truly disturbing. It truly does disturb you when you watch the footage of it. This was most certainly an occult event. And they show all the red and the bloodshed that is associated with opening the door. And when they open the door, smoke emerges, just like the Bible talks about when the bottomless pit is opened. Smoke emerges as though from a great furnace. And a train comes rolling in. There's going to be a portal open. There's going to be a dimensional highway made. And things are going to come out of it, like the Bible states. And we talked about just several weeks ago, at the same time as all these other events starting, how they were blatantly letting the world know the gates of hell were about to open. With the Inferno trailer with Tom Hanks, bringing that onto the scene in connection with a lot of other things we've been studying as well, prominently featuring trains in the trailer too as well, because they use it as a picture of time traveling, moving a long time as well, but then also as a cue card to look for other events tied to the messaging as well with the train tunnel. And we talked about how in the trailer they talk about being in the underground and rivers of blood, because they know all these are tied together. The one leads to the other. And they know there's going to be a massive release of shedding of blood, and ties in with the other messaging they've put down before with the Da Vinci Code blasphemy and the Angels and Demons film, which was filmed at CERN. All these are connected by subject matter. CERN definitely does seem to be part of opening the bottomless pit. We've talked about that before. And they're now announcing that hell is about to be unleashed. The mystery of iniquity is about to be unrestrained. And then just 2 days after that, they again prominently featured on Bing the gates of Hades being opened with their Orcus reference, referencing Hades, the underworld. And we've seen a lot more messaging in between that, but then just recently on the 31st, a commemoration of the Hell of Verdun using some of the same public figures who were also involved at the tunnel ceremony, Merkel and Hollande, bringing attention to the Hell of Verdun, and we talked about that, and with the lighting evoking their same color messaging. And then the very next day, they went to the tunnel opening where they commemorated Cernunnos and Pan coming from the underworld and persecution and bloodshed, celebrating openly that the gates to hell are about to open. They don't need to hide it anymore.
I do want to reiterate here again and drive home the point that it is irrelevant whether or not we believe the Bible to be true, Satan to be real. The important thing to understand and realize first and foremost, if you are a non-believer in the spiritual realm, spiritual warfare, etc., is these people do. And they are literally carrying out an agenda based on these ideologies. This is the reality. So in order to understand the bigger picture, understand why they perform rituals such as this, you must understand things biblically and spiritually. Let's take a look at various symbolism of this ritual and break it down in terms of time and space, CERN, and the opening of what is called the abyss, as described in Revelation. These are aspects I've covered from time to time, and it seemingly culminates with this ritual and only further solidifies my conclusion regarding the real agenda behind CERN. So what we actually see playing out in this ritual is Revelation 9:11, and that states, "And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue his name Apollyon." And as we can see, the 9/11 memorial in New York, called the Infinity Pool, is a direct reference to Revelation 9:11, and that is no coincidence. It is a direct reference and representation of the bottomless pit, the abyss, the black void. This is what they've shown us time and time again, consistently throughout history in their occult structures and locations all over the world, 9/11 Memorial, Infinity Pool being a prime example. Even RT News wrote an article on CERN and revealed the quote-unquote curious connection between Apollo and CERN. Quote, "Now on top of all the speculation as to what CERN scientists are really attempting to do with their LHC, many observers cannot help but notice that the town in France where CERN is partially situated is called Saint-Genès-Pouilly. The name Pouilly comes from the Latin Apolliacum, and it is believed that in Roman times a temple existed in honor of Apollo, and the people who lived there believed that it is a gateway to the underworld. It is interesting to note that CERN is built on the same spot." End quote. So CERN was built over the ancient site of Apollo, aka Apollyon, the destroyer. The name Apollo was often linked in ancient Greek writings with the verb apollimi or apollio, meaning destroy. CERN's Shiva, of course, is also known as the destroyer. With that said, let's look at the actual symbolism of the ritual. Let's look at the first part of the ritual, the obvious Satanism, and the worship of the angel of death, the angel of the bottomless pit. The Baphomet androgynous figure we see here, it's the Baphomet angel of death archetype with androgynous features. You can see male breasts, and that is quite disturbing, and it is exact representation of Baphomet. Here we see the Green Man is escorted out, surrounded by all the goat horns, and the Green Man, of course, is synonymous with Cernunnos, the horned god of the underworld. Moving on to the second part of the ceremony, where we see a display of projected images onto a wall or a screen, the workers form an 8-spoked wheel just before they breach through the mountain wall. 8-spoked wheels are depicted as time and space mechanisms throughout ancient artworks. They are synonymous with transcending space-time. This is why CERN's detectors, particularly the Atlas detector, is designed after the 8-spoked wheel, the 8-spoked wheel of time, because it is a time and space mechanism. This, make no mistake, is not by accident. On the projected screen, we see the mountain is now breached, representing the breaking of the veil of reality. The workers are then sucked into the void of a portal where numerous specter-like hands are reaching out to them. Quite disturbing. Chaos ensues, and specter-like entities are released into this dimension. We now see the horned god appears in the black void, the abyss, coming out from the bottomless pit. The underworld is unleashed. At this point, we can now see the strong parallels between Gotthard's ritual and CERN, particularly CERN's occult film ritual Symmetry. Here you can see naked entities in the black void of the abyss is depicted in both Gotthard ritual and CERN's occult film ritual Symmetry. So after the collapsing of time and space, the merging of dimensions, the opening of the portal and unleashing of the underworld, we now see a clock is shown to be in disarray, going forwards and backwards, representing space-time manipulation or distortion. The same time distortion symbolism is also shown in CERN film Symmetry. A brief close-up of the watch of the character named Lucas, which is a name that has been said to be an allusion to Lucifer, shows time going in reverse before abruptly stopping. Further exploring the connection between Lucifer or Satan and time, an interesting side note, in the film Winter's Tale, Lucifer, played by Will Smith, has a dialogue with one of his demon minions, played by Russell Crowe. In this scene, Lucifer informs his demon how he has no comprehension of the simple ebbs and turns of time, and eludes his understanding. Since Satan is also known as the serpent or the dragon, and the serpent is another variation of the Ouroboros, which is a symbol of time, we can see why Lucifer places so much emphasis on the construct of time in this scene. He is also shown reading the book A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking, although it is essentially unnoticeable unless you search for it, emphasizing once again the connection between Lucifer and time. All you have to do is pay attention to what the media telegraphs regarding CERN. When you see Wall Street Journal, for example, recently released headlines such as, quote, CERN is seeking secrets of the universe or maybe opening the portals of hell, end quote, and openly discuss conspiracy theories and address conspiracy theories about CERN, you know the CERN occult agenda is real. It's really happening. They are literally attempting to crack time and space, merging dimensional realities in order for the unleashing of the underworld to take place. This is why they've injected themes and symbolism associated with time travel, dimensional travel, CERN, particle collider, time distortion, portals, dimensional doors, and so much more in our media more than ever before. On one level, people will dismiss any notion of the CERN occult agenda being real, dismissing the possibility CERN is creating dimensional doors because it was shown in science fiction. It was shown on this TV show or that TV show. This is how they condition the populace on a subconscious level to accept these scenarios as purely science fiction and not possible. But make no mistake, what is seemingly science fiction is literally manifesting in our reality. This is precisely why it is possible reality itself has changed or been altered, because when human beings are tampering with forces they should never be tampering with, opening doors they should never open, the result is likely something most humans cannot even begin to fathom or comprehend.
And every year at WrestleMania, you got to understand, WrestleMania is always in the very beginning of April. It's essentially a fertility, sorcery ritual. And the guy who owns the WWE, Vince, openly ridicules and mocks Christianity. And basically is very, very pagan. And his shows, okay, there's a Monday night show called Raw. Okay, Raw, like the sun god Ra, but it's spelled R-A-W, like raw chicken. But it's red, and it's called Raw, and it's red. He has SmackDown, and it's a blue show. So he has this red and blue polarity every single week.
I'm going to vote blue. Vote for who you want. This is a free dictatorship.
You know, and then at the end of the year, well, it's at the end of the wrestling season, you get WrestleMania, but the wrestling year ends in April. So basically he's celebrating a pagan new year with his mania of sports. And here's the thing. There's a guy named The Undertaker, okay? The Undertaker has now had 25 matches in a row at WrestleMania. I think he's the one professional wrestler in history who has appeared in the most WrestleMania matches overall. And not only that, he went 21 years undefeated right out of the gate. So he went 21-0. And then when WrestleMania 30 came around, he was going up against a guy named Brock Lesnar. And Brock Lesnar is known as, in wrestling, as the Beast Incarnate, okay? And we're at WrestleMania 30, okay? So it's a 10 and it's a ritual thing. So Undertaker, the dead man, Death, faces off against the Beast incarnate, okay? And the Beast defeats Death. And it's the first time Death loses at WrestleMania, the spring festival of rebirth, for the pagan psychopath Vince McMahon and his pagan ritualistic psychosis and effect. You know, he murdered Chris Benoit. Everybody knows that now. And a whole bunch of, he murdered the Ultimate Warrior, a lot of people say. And those are, of course, speculation, but it's pretty much well known. He does this thing, and the Beast is the first one that can ever conquer death. So we know how he feels. He feels like the Beast incarnate, Satan, the Antichrist, I guess, is the only one who can defy death. That's what Vince McMahon says at WrestleMania 30 by breaking the Undertaker's 21 years of being undefeated at the Super Bowl of wrestling, essentially, or the World Cup of wrestling, essentially. And then a couple years pass. He's 21-1. He goes to 22-1. He goes to 23-1. And then at WrestleMania 33 in Orlando, in Orange County, okay, the same place that the Pulse shooting happened and the Christina Grimmie murder happened, okay? It comes to Orlando in Orange County, and they have WrestleMania 33. And guess what? Now, The Undertaker faces a guy named, you're not going to believe it, Roman Reigns, R-E-I-G-N-S, like the king reigns over his kingdom. Roman Reigns, okay? And guess what? Roman Reigns is the second guy in history that now defeats death. Isn't that funny? So only the Beast Incarnate, Satan, or the Roman Empire can defeat death. That's what Vince McMahon wants to tell you. And now Death has retired, essentially, I think. A lot of people think that after his 25 years now, because now he's 23-2, and it's 25 years of competing at WrestleMania. His first loss was at 30. His second loss was at 33. It's a lot of number magic and a lot of spring fertility magic too. And Vince defiantly wants to celebrate death. And maybe death is a holiday. Maybe death is a holiday for his satanic sect.
One thing we can all agree on is the need to support the great work that comes out of the dinner. Millions of dollars have been raised to support disadvantaged children, and I applaud the many people who have worked to make this wonderful event a critical lifeline for children in need. And that we together broke the all-time record tonight is really something special. More than 6 million net. The Cardinal told me that's net, Donald, remember. We can also agree on the need to stand up to anti-Catholic bias.
Something else. That is the major feature behind the Pope that features inside the audience hall, namely this. Have you seen this before? I'd never seen it before myself and felt like I had entered the realm of the Mandela effect once again, on overload this time, since this is the most ominous thing I've ever seen in a while. This artwork was placed within the hall in 1977, as history states, and depicts, according to the Vatican, the resurrection of Christ emerging from a nuclear apocalypse. Now think to yourself for a moment. The audience hall is a reinforced concrete bunker, and the depiction of Christ shares the same connections with Christ himself rising from an atomic apocalypse. Not only that, but many people have said this is the most un-Christian thing they have ever seen in a long time, even a number of Catholics I've talked to. For it looks like Christ's head is in fact missing, at least half of it. A number of Catholics don't even remember even seeing this before or looking at it, but it's been in the hall since, at least according to history, since 1977. The structure seems to have entered at least the internet's consciousness around 2012. I could find a couple of examples before that, but most seem to be post 2012, and there doesn't seem to be any pictures of it from the front. All seem to be taken from the side. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that because I found it really disturbing.
What sort of world are we in? Because if it's this bad now, what's it going to be like for you? 30 years time? 10 years? 5 years? What's it going to be like?
Did you know you can live forever? I'm not transsexual. I'm transhuman. I will be Data.
Somebody to love.
I love you, Mommy and Daddy.
Last night I dreamt about how things were.
Of every enemy of the state.
And then I woke up here.
You've all lost so much. We intend to restore it to you. I stand before you tonight to announce the first true artificial intelligence, Kronos. Kronos will soon solve the problems that have plagued humanity. Kronos represents the rejuvenation of life. On this planet, for our future. Tonight, this night, we enter a new age.
This is Kronos. Do not be afraid. Our once beautiful world is now infected. Change is necessary if it is to survive. It may be the end of your life, but it is the beginning of so much more. You were once one with what surrounded you. You have completed the final stage in your evolution by ushering in the new age. You created and destroyed for centuries until finally your purpose was fulfilled.
have you done? Do not fear, brother. Do not fear what Kronos has given us.
Kronos. You activated him.
Yes. We are killing off the species that created us. Human beings are the cancer that must be removed from the body of the earth. There will be no more violence, no more disorder, only peace.
Dreamed 1,000 dreams, been haunted by 1,000,000 screams, but I can hear them marching feet. They're moving into the street. Now did you read the news today? They say the danger is gone away, but I can see the fires still alight. They're burning into the night. There's too many men, too many people, making too many problems, and there's not much left to go around. Can't you see this is the land of confusion? And this is the world we live in, and these are the hands we're given. Use them and let's start trying to make it a place worth living in.
Who's that girl?
Their shoes should come with a content warning. What a waste.
New girl, say hi to the world.
The sky over a local junior high has torn open.
Mom, get in! There's no more putting this off. Your dad is the devil, and you're the Antichrist.
I'm supposed to accept that you had sex with Satan or anyone?
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Come to your father, Damien. Oh, you're a girl. The future is female.
Pleased to meet you.
Where have you been my whole life?
The metaphysical realm.
Pleased to meet you.
Seek Jesus in the morning. Seek Jesus in the noonday hour. Seek Jesus in the evening before the sun is going down. He said, "Knock, and it shall be given to you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and the door will be open to you, and he will come on in and sup with you." Oh, wow. Hallelujah. Yes, he will. He'll come in. He'll come in. If you're seeking, he'll come in. If you're seeking, he'll come in. Bless your name, Jesus. Bless your name, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord.